Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Ryan, for that wonderful music. Much appreciated. And thank you for the entire community who's attending today. We appreciate all of you. This is Vault 40. Vault is where we talk about everything new with product, new features and capabilities, some of the events coming down, some of the cool content we've put out. We listen to our community. If you have any feedback, feature requests, things of that nature. So again, much excited for this session. We have a packed agenda, obviously. Quick intro to myself. I am Nasser Khan. I'm a product marketing manager over here. And with me, we have Ryan. Ryan is a product marketing manager as well. And we have Casey, my fellow product marketing manager who handles Secrets Manager. We have Shelby and Sai, our awesome technical marketing and customer success team. So very excited to have everyone over here. Uh, all right, quick overview of the agenda we have today. We are going to talk about some of the new cool features that we've put out over the last month and a half. Some really cool things we've been working on over the last many months, obviously in planning. But we are finally glad to get these new key capabilities and features and products out. So Bitwarden Authenticator, that's something that's really hot. We're very excited about it. Mobile passkeys. Ryan will touch on that a little later. Super excited about this. You know, passkeys are taking over. Our Splunk integration, something that the community has been asking about quite a bit. Really big deal for security teams. And then our Secrets Manager Kubernetes integration, again, something else that the community has been asking for with regards to our Secrets Manager offering. And then we'll touch on Manifest version 2 to version 3 transition for our browser plugin. And again, this is an interactive session, so feel free to join the screen. Again, some house rules here. Feel free to join the screen. Just note in the chat, I have a live question or comment, and if you have any concerns, feature requests, things you want to share, anytime, just feel free to plug it in over into the chat box over there. And with that, I start off with any initial questions the community over here might have. If you want to I'll take like maybe 20-25 seconds and see if there's any questions coming in the dialog box. This is a good time to just start off with some initial questions.
Yeah, thanks, Nasser. I saw Mike had one early on. He came in and got ahead of pretty much our entire webcast here. Question here: how can I locate all the entries using the same password? If you subscribe to the Bitwarden paid plans, you'll get access to the Vault Health reports, and the Vault Health report has one called Reused Password. It will basically show you every reused password that you have in your account. Super handy. So actually, from that report, you'd be able to change your passwords right then and there too. And I know I've had to do that a couple of times myself. And I saw one.
Fantastic.
I saw one over in the Q&A channel too, from SM, who says, "When will basic feature requests be prioritized and implemented like this one from 2019 on your forums?" And to respond to that, we have a lot of feature requests that all are vying for priority. Um, Things that get high upvotes, we try to get onto our roadmap sooner than later. But if it's something that you are particularly interested in having done, you can, feel free to contribute to our Bitwarden open source code. That's actually how we've had a couple of really cool features added, including one recently that will let you scan the QR code for a TOTP function directly within your browser instead of having to whip out your phone for that. So that was a really cool one. And uh, about this feature, this request here specifically, you should, since 2019, there have been a lot of updates to the username generator, to the username and password generator. I highly recommend you just go take a look at any of those options and features there to see what type of thing you would prefer. Because I believe that this specific request was about having a default username that is in the generator when you're creating a new entry, whereas we actually offer features that can help create new usernames for added security and privacy every time. So yeah, just go take a look at that.
Thanks, Ryan. I think we'll get started with the agenda. I don't see any other questions over here, but
Oh,
uh,
we have a couple
again,
more pop in.
oh really?
Yeah, we have a couple more
Let's
pop
see
in.
that.
Are there any new updates related to the release of the new native mobile apps? Um, Actually, I think Nasser, you can go ahead and spill a little bit of beans on this one.
So yes, we are gonna have a beta rolling in. Actually, the early beta is out right now for our native apps that are going to be native to iOS and Android, and then it's going to be a phased beta in June, middle of June. We are going to roll out the support for passkeys on both those platforms, and then a month or a month and a half after that, we're going to be looking at GA. So again, the key advantage here is better look and feel, much faster. Anything that's native is much faster and can take advantage of the local phone platform capabilities, and then we can build more capabilities around that. So it's it's a really big advantage for us. We are moving over from the Xamarin platform over to native applications, and I think we're very excited about it. So, and we'll be sharing a blog very shortly about that as well.
Yeah, and there's two caveats about this. One, it's an active development, so while we might give timelines here, those can always change depending on what the teams find and as they're working through the security audits and such. And then secondly, there is going to be a little bit of a change in the look and feel. It's going to look more like the native applications in the OS, but it's not going to be the same design changes that we have just showed here. Last Vault Hours or the Vault Hours before, which will be coming to the browser extension soon. So this is more of an intermediate step.
Yeah, and just ensuring security and compliance and making sure the product is working correctly is key, a key priority for the team over here. So it'll be a phased rollout, and we will share more over the next Vault Hours and a blog that we're going to be releasing soon. You did answer this other one, right, Ryan? The reuse password report.
Yeah, so I believe my understanding here is that does the reuse password report, does it only search for same or also for similar? I believe the logic there is for same, since that is actually where the major threat is, because if you have a leak of one password that could compromise your other accounts, something that's similar but not exactly the same, especially if it's a hashed code that gets leaked, um, that hash would inherently be different enough that it would still take additional time to compute and crack. I'm not the cryptographic expert on that, but really the benefit is just making sure you have a unique password for every account is really the baseline. Um, and of course, if you use a Bitwarden and password generator, you can also ensure that none of them are similar.
On a similar note, too, if having a a password report that tracks for similar passwords as well, feel free to put in a feature request, kind of make your voice heard on the community as well, and that might be prioritized if that's a similar kind of issue for other users. So absolutely, if that's a major thing, that might be an oversight on our part, but appreciate you.
And Daniel, I hope that answered your question. Feel free to have a follow-on question if you do have one. But we'll go ahead and get started over here. Ryan, again, start with the main agenda items here. So obviously, Bitwarden Authenticator is a fairly new offering for us. Very excited about it. Ryan, over to you to talk through this.
Bitwarden, I think
Oh,
I think
sorry,
it's Casey. I
sorry,
think
Casey.
who had this
Casey,
one.
this is you. I apologize,
Yeah,
Casey.
that was
That's
me.
right.
That's
I could talk
okay.
to it. I'm just not smooth.
So
I
many.
didn't rehearse or anything.
Don't worry about it. Casey, over to you.
All good, all good. Yes, so we have the Bitwarden Authenticator, and if you can move to the next slide, this is actually a new standalone application being offered by Bitwarden, and it's kind of exactly what you expect, right? It provides 2FA, TOTP codes for an extra layer of verification to all of your accounts. And this is actually separately used from your Bitwarden products, right? So I know some people prefer not to keep their TOTP codes within their web vault. So it makes a lot of sense to instead store them within this separate application also offered by Bitwarden. So yeah, you can visit and learn more about the Bitwarden Authenticator at bitwarden.com/product/authenticator, which is now a link in the chat. Or just go to bitwarden.com/download to add it to your mobile application or mobile devices. And then if we move to the next slide as well, I wanted to provide a little bit of a refresher on some of the 2FA mechanisms or options that are currently out there. I think we've said this a million times, but everyone on this call is typically very much a security power user, a security expert, but it's always good to kind of go back to the basics, right? So some of the common ways to protect accounts with two-factor authentication, there's emails, text messages, hardware keys like YubiKeys, and biometrics like Face ID or fingerprints. And then lastly, a time-based code on an authenticator application, which is what we're offering with Bitwarden Authenticator. And then if we go to the next slide too, it provides some recommendations for how to protect Bitwarden, your Bitwarden accounts. With 2FA, right? So Bitwarden offers a lot of different options for 2FA to protect your overall account, including Yubico hardware keys, Duo for as an TOTP codes, passkeys. This is always a hot topic, right? But passkeys are also offered to protect your accounts for 2FA. Email authenticator apps like Bitwarden Authenticator, and an integrated authenticator for TOTP. This is also a great reminder, right? So, well, it's super important to protect all of your accounts with two-factor authentication. It's also incredibly important to back up those 2FA across devices. We like to say, friends don't let friends 2FA one way. And this is basically just a reminder to always back up those access codes for your authenticator apps or those TOTP code seeds, or find other ways to kind of back up your two-factor authentication across devices. It's incredibly important to have another way to kind of access your account in the event that you lose that 2FA access, like if you lose a phone, if you lose a hardware key. There's so many different ways to kind of lose that. So it's incredibly important to back up that 2FA access, very similar to backing up your Bitwarden account.
Thanks, Casey.
Great. Yeah, the emergency code is important too. Yeah, so back up those emergency codes for 2FA, and then also those 2FA 2PP code seeds as well. And those are great things to have on hand in the event that you lose access to an authenticator app. So download Bitwarden Authenticator, try it out, see how you like it, see if that's something that you can integrate into your overall security ecosystem.
I already started using
Bitwarden Authenticator. I think we can move on. I believe. Great, that's awesome.
Over to Ryan. Mobile passkeys, something that the community is super excited about. So.
Yeah, so I could talk about this. So first, can't talk about enough the Bitwarden Authenticator. Thanks, Casey, for that. I know I use it. Most people internally are using it already. It's good stuff. So now for mobile passkeys, the important discussion for this one is that Bitwarden has already offered passkeys. We've had passkeys already in the Bitwarden extension since late last year, but you weren't able to use it on your phones. Part of that was because Android, for example, didn't support third-party passkeys. But now with Android 14 out, and then also our development on iOS, we now are able to offer you passkeys where you need them. So that is wherever you need to log in from. So on your mobile device and on your extensions, your websites that way. So with this, passkeys go mobile, and they are able to sync between your browser extensions and your mobile apps because they are stored in your Bitwarden vault, just like a password is. And the benefits of this is that you're really not locked into any specific operating system. You can be doing this on a Mac or on a Windows device or on an Android or on an iPhone, and it doesn't really matter because you have one service that unifies all of them. And additionally, just to be sure that you're also not locked into any specific environment, the Bitwarden team is working with other vendors as well to work on a protocol for transferring passkeys between all the different services. So you're not always going to be locked into one specific solution moving forward. So I have a little thing over here on the right. It is a excerpt from a an infographic on how passkeys work. For those of you who may be uninitiated or want a refresher, I actually have a blog here where that you can see that infographic in full, as well as get a description of how passkeys work and are more secure than passwords. But I feel we've talked about passkeys a lot here in Vault Hours. But if anyone has any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them, put them in chat or Q&A, and we'll talk them through.
Yeah, I love passkeys, and thanks for that, Ryan. Appreciate that. If you guys have access, if I highly suggest you at least take a shot. A lot of organizations, Google, the Netflixes of the world, are moving in this direction. It is going to overall in time become one of the de facto methods of authentication. So check out passkeys. Back to you, Ryan. Splunk integration.
Yeah. So Splunk integration. So a lot of people use SIEM or SIEM tool, SIEM tools to manage your security, manage events on your network, not just Bitwarden, but other different applications and tools as well to keep an eye out for anything that might look suspicious logins. And now Bitwarden, which already has a couple of out-of-the-box integrations for this already, now supports Splunk Cloud. So in addition to the self-hosted Splunk Enterprise, you can now add Splunk Cloud Classic and Splunk Cloud Victoria. Bitwarden has an app that was created open source installation for each of those where you can link your Bitwarden installation and start ingesting your Bitwarden event logs. The Bitwarden event logs I think we have over 60 events that are included in the event logs that you'd be able to pair with network access events and really get a good view of what's happening. And to that end, we've included 3 pre-built dashboards for at-a-glance security info. Like this is just one of the dashboards that you see right here, just a screenshot of locations of where people are logging in, how many times and on what devices. So, but don't forget, it's not just Splunk, which is one of the more popular ones, but we also have built out-of-the-box integrations for Panther and Elastic. And if you're using another tool, Bitwarden has 2 APIs that you can use to pull all of your event data into any SIEM tool that you need to use. So this is a really handy feature. There's work in progress right now for integration with Azure Sentinel, which I know a lot of people are excited about. So keep an eye out for that coming down the line.
Thanks, Ryan.
We had a question come in about passkeys about the
I saw
prior
that.
subjects. Yeah. What is the status with user verification? You saw something GitHub about this. So user verification is part of the passkey spec. That is, even if you were logged into your Bitwarden account or if you're using a passkey, you should be able to do something to prove that you are you while you're using it. For us, the way Bitwarden is going to be implementing user verification is you're going to be using whatever feature you use to unlock your vault, you'll be prompted to do that. So if you have a PIN set up or if you have biometrics, if you have neither of those, it'll be inquiring for your master password every time a passkey is used. Right now, every password manager is doing it a little bit differently, and we are going to be taking the more secure, more true route for the spec. So that should be implemented here in the next few months, I want to say. The team is working on its QA right now. But we've seen an internal demo working of it. So it'll be out shortly.
Daniel, I hope that answered your questions around that. If you have a follow-up, feel free to put it in the chat box. All right, over to me. Secrets Manager Kubernetes integration. So this is, Secrets Manager is a fairly new offering for us. It's primarily for DevOps and developers and infrastructure teams. Again, it helps. The product itself is for managing, retrieving application credentials, OAuth tokens, API keys, and other secrets throughout the development lifecycle. So Bitwarden continues to, again, introduce new integrations based on what the community is asking for. And the Kubernetes integration is really our latest offering. It is in early beta, so we are testing it to make sure there are no kinks, there's no issues with it. But it will soon go into public beta. So again, you'll be able to manage secrets on your Kubernetes clusters to really improve security rather than leaving these secrets unencrypted. As Kubernetes does by default. So some of the key challenges with Kubernetes secrets management, and I don't know how many developers and DevOps people we have here, but feel free to ping me on any questions you have about this. But there's very complex to manage secrets on Kubernetes because of the inherent complexity of kind of handling this sensitive information across distributed environments. You can have a ton of clusters, right? Very few, there's limited access controls, fine-grained access controls. So it's challenging to restrict access for specific secrets for specific users and services. And then there's really lack of detailed auditing, right? The native capability, Kubernetes, what they call Kubernetes secrets, do not natively support auditing capabilities. And again, adding a third party or integrating with a third party secrets manager is rather complex. So what we've done to address this, number one, the secrets manager tool integrates very easily with Kubernetes. It provides enhanced security for those Kubernetes secrets, so they're centrally managed, easy to manage. You can reduce the risk of access and data breaches. And again, there's developer flexibility. So if you want to add this into your developer pipelines, your workflows, we provide you with a command line interface and APIs. And overall simplified operations, right? So you're streamlining the processes for managing secrets across these complex distributed environments, again, improving efficiency and ultimately reducing complexity. And again, a little bit of compliance readiness, right? Auditing and logging capabilities, facilitate compliance efforts. And then down the road, I'm sure we're going to do more work around integration with things like SIEM, as Ryan had touched early on, Splunk integrations. We're going to do something similar potentially for Secrets Manager. So check out Secrets Manager if you're a developer, if you're DevOps, if you know someone in DevOps, you're already using Bitwarden. It's a great alternative to some of the tools that are out there, like Vault, HashiCorp Vault. And reach out if you have any specific questions on the service. All right. And then moving on, we have transitioned from Manifest version 2 to version 3 for our browser extension. And what this means is, what is a manifest, right? A manifest is a standard agreed upon by browser vendors like Google, Apple, Firefox, and other software developers like Bitwarden on how an API is going to work, how the browser API extension is going to work. We have 6 million plus users, right? So our browser plugin users leverage features like autofill and save. And this is only made possible through our browser extension application programming interface, our API, which developers really like to be able to leverage and extend new capabilities into the browser itself. So the manifest file itself, what we call manifest version 2 or manifest version 3, it really informs the browser on the functionality of that API. So those standards have to be agreed upon by different developers and the vendors of what are those key capabilities that are going to be able to be extended or created, right? So the manifest specification or standard is updated and we are moving from version 2 to version 3. Version 2, I believe, is being deprecated, and that's one of the main moves towards version 3. I think Google primarily pushed for this. But the advantages are limiting. You're going to have the ability to limit remote code execution. It's going to be heavily limited usage of remotely executed code. So this is, again, key to security. There'll also be web request interception. So you'll be able to restrict how thoroughly and frequently extensions can intercept and interact with web requests. There's going to be limited memory usage. So shared memory space will be limited to 10 megabytes. And then there'll be better guardrails for code execution, right? So they've provided strict guidelines on triggering arbitrarily executed or dynamically injected code, which is really, really a big deal these days. And then this API itself has really been simplified. So we've removed redundancies within the browser extension API for a better overall developer experience for those who are actually building new extensions and new capabilities. So that is the move from Manifest version 2 to version 3. Very technical. Not sure if we have questions around this, but overall, a key benefit for the browser plugin from a feature function perspective down the road.
Thanks, Nasser. I wanted to make a comment here that this has been a huge lift for the engineering team these last few months. Like a lot of our bandwidth has been going into making sure that this works. Google has also been changing the spec pretty constantly too, even though the deadline for it is looming. So it's been a lot of effort, and for some folks who might think that our roadmap has been light, this is definitely one of the major reasons, and that's making sure that Bitwarden will work on your computer, because that's what happens if we don't get this done, is that it will just stop working, and you will no longer be available on any Chromium-based browsers. So that was definitely an important thing to work on.
Yeah, it's always important to improve on the underlying technology, and that sets the path for improving our key offerings down the road, and this kind of improvement is a step towards that. Likewise for passkeys and for the different integrations we're introducing. So we're very excited about this.
Mm-hmm. We actually had a technical write-up. I know we're going to get into the blogs here soon, but there's been a big technical write-up on it too for people who are interested in learning about what happened in the background, and how things have changed and how they affected Bitwarden. I've posted the link here in chat if you're interested in taking a look, written by one of our engineers.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I don't see any questions around this, so I'll move forward here into our news feed. Casey, over to you.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. So there's been a lot that's happened in the news concerning Bitwarden since we last met as a Vault Hours community. And so I wanted to highlight some of these. First, kind of a no-brainer is talking about passkeys, right? Specifically our mobile support for passkeys on iOS. TechRadar and the Mac Observer covered that beta launch for passkeys on iOS. And then the tech report covered this kind of general availability, right, of passkeys on iOS. So having that mobile support, we don't need to go into details about that. I think Ryan did a really great kind of overview of this, but it was really cool to see this kind of highlighted in the news because it makes it so much easier to leverage passkeys across your different clients. Next, I pulled up this article mostly because I really liked the title, and that obviously caught my eye. So this one's titled "My Path to Tech Hippieism," which I did not know was a word, but apparently it is. And this author kind of covered how they made a change in what kind of tech products they consume and use on a daily basis based on kind of this idea of leaning towards open source, leaning towards companies that have a mission that aligns with their own, and companies that aren't so incredibly large that they lose sight of their customer. And I think if anyone on this call has been a Bitwarden user for a long time, a Bitwarden customer for a long time, you know that that's very much in line with our vision as a company. We take your feedback very seriously. We're all open source. You can always look at what we're doing, incredibly transparent. And so obviously that resonated with this author. So I thought that was a really cool highlight. Next, we have an article from Fast Company that actually interviewed our founder, Kyle Schwerin, about the book of Bitwarden and kind of our direction as a company, right? So if you are ever curious about kind of the core founding of Bitwarden and how we've evolved as a company and continuing to evolve as a business, I would check out this article. It was incredibly informative and kind of provides a little bit more as to our strategy and our vision. And so really cool kind of overview straight from our founder's mouth. So if you're interested, I would check this out. And kind of on a similar note on the next slide was an article from Android Police that didn't interview Kyle, but actually interviewed another one of our key employees at Bitwarden, Anders, who is in charge of our passwordless.dev product, and kind of providing a little bit more context as to Bitwarden as a whole. We've been known as a password manager for so long, but that's not necessarily the way of the industry, right? That's not where we're headed as consumers of online, right? We're going to be using passkeys. And so kind of providing a little bit more context as to we're not intending for there to be zero passwords, but we are being very realistic as to the impact of passkeys on people's login processes and how they work really well together and how Bitwarden kind of plans to evolve with this kind of industry evolution. So this was something that we cover every single year, right? It's World Password Day, which happens on May 2nd this year. And every single year for World Password Day, we put out a password survey to understand how people are using passwords, how they're managing their passwords, and what that looks like across an organization. And we found some really cool data points from this, right? So Apple at work, so 9 to 5 Mac, posted this data point that 95% or 92% of all workers try and memorize and reuse the same password across multiple applications at work, which is very concerning and definitely something that could be remediated by using Bitwarden and that report that we talked about, right? That password reuse report. That'd be incredibly helpful to better understand how passwords are being used across these different work applications. And then also something that was also very alarming we found is that 92% of individuals rely on memory and pen and paper for password management at work. We all know this is kind of a very archaic way of managing passwords, and there's much more secure options out there, but that 92% is a very concerning number. So if any of you are at a work and have coworkers or colleagues who memorize their passwords or write it down on pen and paper, I definitely recommend that you push them towards a password manager, right? This is a much more secure way of managing your passwords and would protect your organization from potential leaks, right? Or potential unauthorized access. So something to think about, but very cool findings. Moving on to the next slide, per usual, we get called the best password manager in a lot of different categories, right? Specifically for 2024, these articles were published recently where CNET called us the best LastPass alternative in 2024. And then Tech Republic called us one of the best open source password managers for Teams specifically in 2024. And then TechRadar and CNBC Select noted us as just one of the best overall password managers of 2024. So really cool to get that designation and to see it kind of out in the wild. So if people, ask is Bitwarden worth it? You can always point them to one of these articles, but very cool to see that kind of designation for Bitwarden out in the wild. And then lastly, we've been talking a lot about passkeys. We've been talking a lot about password managers. And Nasser, can you go to the next slide, please? Great. But as you've heard in these vault hours, we also provide a secrets management solution as well for developers and DevOps teams. So not just a password manager, but we got some really cool coverage around this as well. Both of these were interviewing some of our key employees at Bitwarden. The first being Max Power. Yes, that's his real name. It's very cool. And he is the product lead for Bitwarden Secrets Manager. And he talks a little bit about good secrets management practices and how that reduces overall security risk for your organization. So a very cool article at Software Development Times. And then next at Spiceworks, this was actually published directly from Gary Orenstein. If you've been on these Vault Hours before, you know that he originally started these sessions, and he might be making a comeback. We'll see. He always likes to kind of pop in here and there. But he kind of talks a little bit about security challenges specifically for developers and how so much of the developer landscape is evolving, and how you really have to stay ahead of the curve with good secrets management practices and good security practices in general. So two very cool articles kind of highlighting a little bit more about how security goes so much beyond typical credential management whenever you think about passwords and passkeys, but also into that kind of secrets management and infrastructure. So that's all that's been in the news. I think we're going to be handing off to the blog now to look at a little bit of what we've published internally.
Yeah, talking about written passwords, taking a step back, my dad writes his, I know he used to write his passwords, but he would encrypt it across 2 different diaries. It was so complex, but I eventually convinced him to move over to Bitwarden, and he's pretty happy with it. I mean, his system worked, but it was very complex. I think he would forget sometimes. Moving over to blogs, we have a number of informational and educational blogs that we put out every month. So one of them is how we uphold high security standards with our annual third-party audits. Obviously, Bitwarden is a critical infrastructure and security solution, and has to adhere to these really tight security standards. So we uphold these standards through an annual number of annual third-party security audits conducted by external organizations, security experts like Cure53, Insights Risk Consulting. We also have a bug bounty program with HackerOne, where we welcome the community to go in and share any bugs or try to look for bugs in the technology. So these regular audits really enforce Bitwarden security and help customers comply with their enterprise security requirements. So go check out the blog and you can learn more over there. And then we have, these major credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, Chase that emphasize the importance of device security. So this blog is more targeted to financial organizations, and it's imperative for them to really have the best security practices in place, such as strong password, phishing awareness, account alerts to really enhance online security. So there's a number of recommendations here, and implementing these recommendations, such as 2-factor authentication, updating your security software regularly, and just being vigilant against phishing would help individuals within the organization and business develop a really strong cybersecurity culture and improve their internal security posture. So check out this blog as well. And then we have another blog here, bringing intuitive workflows and visual updates to the Bitwarden browser extension. So really reiterating this from a previous Vault Hours. the last one, we are working to really enhance the look and the feel of the Bitwarden browser extension. We've touched on the native apps. That's a separate thing. I mean, building these native apps for Android and iOS, so those will perform much better. But there's also the look and feel component of the browser extension itself. So in addition to this refreshed look and feel, you will expect improved navigation and an improved information architecture with key features that will be more prominently displayed. So you'll also notice things that will improve, such as the search capability. So again, check out the blog. It'll go into a lot more detail of what you can expect. And this is something that Ryan touched on earlier, and something that the community has really asked for. But to reiterate, Bitwarden will integrate with the Splunk to be able to get and to be able to ingest logs. And in all, there are these 60 types of events that are going to be recorded and logged into perpetuity, and can be passed to Splunk directly for analysis and integration into the other existing security systems. So again, ultimately, what you can expect, especially security teams, is they'll be able to set alerts for suspicious access and login, and any things like stored credit card and information like that. You'll be able to, the security teams will be able to identify any rogue user accounts and temporarily revoke it from the organization, and then determine if there is proper usage and adoption of Bitwarden Password Manager within the enterprise. So check out the blog to learn more. So if you want to get some ideas of building a security culture at your workplace, this is a really good blog to check out, and it'll help you overall try to improve your internal security posture within your organization. We touched on Bitwarden transitioning from Manifest version 2 to version 3, the extension API, the new specification, what this means, the benefits, right? The improved security, the ability, to limit remote code execution, for example. But this blog specifically goes into a lot more detail. So if you want to check this out, it's a really good read. And then obviously passkeys are on mobile are available. So passkey support for its, we introduced passkey support for iOS and Android, enabling users to manage and use passkeys directly from their mobile devices for really secure passwordless logins. So ultimately, this update ensures that all Bitwarden users, including the ones on free plans, can benefit from enhanced security and the convenience of passkeys, which are really, as I mentioned earlier, gaining in prominence. And if I'm not mistaken, Google put out a article a while back where they have 400 million new passkey users. So that's pretty cool. The adoption is really improving. Let me see if there's any questions here. All right, moving on to help. I don't know if there's any questions. Please feel free to post it in the dialog box. I mean, we're always here to listen to you, and I mean, this feedback is really critical and important for the team here at Bitwarden. Shelby and Sai, over to you on the help documentation.
There we go. I said I will. I'll take things away with help here. So, hi everyone. My name is Sai. On the technical marketing team, like Nasser said towards the beginning. If you want to move to the next slide. So as always, we just want to highlight that in addition to just talking about some of the new cool features, we're always updating our Bitwarden Help Center with documentation to not only tell you about those different offerings that we have now, but also how to set them up. So our Splunk article has been updated with the new directions if you want to enable it for cloud. And then we also have documentation specifically on our new Bitwarden Authenticator. So these two articles, just like we had here in Vault Hours, those were also communicated via our release notes. So if you always want to be in the know, please do sign up for those right at the top of our Help Center page. All right, now over to learning. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight there. The first one is going to be an oldie but a goodie. So rolling out Bitwarden to your organization. So we have had this one out there for a little bit now, but I just wanted to bring it to the forefront again. You know, sometimes bringing Bitwarden to your company can be an overwhelming venture, but we walk you through step by step everything from getting started with a free trial to setting up your admins and everything in between. So highly recommend checking that out. And then the second one I wanted to highlight today is seemed to be topical. It's spring is in the air, so wanted to highlight the Organizing Your Vault video. So that's going to walk you through the differences between favorites, folders, and collections and kind of get you kicked off with your spring cleaning. And now over to Shelby for community.
Awesome. Thank you, Sai. All right, next slide. Perfect. So you can get engaged with the Bitwarden communities. They're listed here on this page. They're great resources with both Bitwarden users and the team here at Bitwarden who can help answer questions, just general questions, or contribute to conversations if you have something you want to chat about. Next slide. And next, thank you. So ways to get involved, you can visit bitwarden.com/getinvolved, and here you can learn how to contribute code, assist with client localization, submit feature requests, ask questions in our community, join our beta programs, participate in user research, and attend events like this. Next slide, thank you. And then, so we're always growing and looking for talented people like you to join our team. So check out our open positions at bitwarden.com/careers. We listed the ones that are currently open on that page here. So if anything looks interesting, head on over there and check it out. And then our events, you can check out Bitwarden's regularly scheduled demos and things like Vault Hours, and stay tuned for more on the Open Source Security Summit in September.
We have a question, maybe Ryan or Casey, you want to take this one. Where can I, and this is from Dino, where can I sign up for release notes, assuming this is a mailing list? Can't see it on the help page.
Yeah, actually, I'm the one who mails out the list. You can actually subscribe if you scroll down onto the release notes page. Right here. Yep, if you go down, thanks Casey. If you go down just a little bit to the tip section there, it says want release announcements delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up to receive an email update with the latest Bitwarden release notes. So you can click on that there and put in your email address, and you'll get added to our mailing list. And I've been sending out one now that we've adjusted our schedule to a release every 2 weeks. I've been trying to compile all the release notes into a single one towards the end of the month. So I think last week I sent out the last one. So you can get added to that there. You can also see there's a RSS feed for our status page. And that status page will be updated when there's going to be a release window. So if you wanted to, if you notice that, you can go and check out our release notes that will be published the next day on the website.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ryan. One more thing, and this is over to Casey.
Yeah, actually, before we jump into this, can you go back 2 slides? I want to do just a quick shameless plug, actually into the event slide. So one down. There we go. So Bitwarden Secrets Manager demo. The next session's actually next week on Tuesday, and I will be hosting that. So if you want to see more of me and learn more about Bitwarden Secrets Manager, please come and join. It's a great time. We talk a lot about Secrets Manager in these sessions, but sometimes it's great to have a little bit more of a deep dive into how the product actually operates and how it can make your organization or development kind of infrastructure more secure. So if you're at all interested, feel free to hop on. We don't bite, so would love to see you there as well. Okay, so now we can go back to one more thing.
And just one quick thing, like I'm always interested in learning how many DevOps and developers we have. So if you are involved in infrastructure, DevOps, anything, just put a thumbs up there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Okay, great. Well, if you've joined any of these sessions before, you know that we always do a Bitwarden store giveaway at the end. And we do have these new items. They were new last month as well when we did Vault Hours, but they're still fairly new, so I'll plug them again. But we have posters. So we have these really cool, well-designed posters featuring Bitwarden, specifically around how it makes password management so much more easy for your organization or as a personal user. And so if you want to kind of highlight Bitwarden either in your home office, your physical in-person office, just around the house, I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in, but check out some of these posters. I have mine on my way, so that way I can spruce up my background a little bit, but yeah, a cool way to kind of promote password management and secrets management. And so if you want to kind of win some of these cool posters for free, you can go to the next slide. Just go to bitwarden.com/shop, scroll down to the bottom, right, and then fill out the contact form there saying that you heard about the giveaway during Vault Hours 40, and then you'd be entered to win some cash towards the Bitwarden store. We have other things besides posters, right? Some cool snapbacks, some t-shirts, if that's something you're interested in, some sweaters. I know Shelby was wearing one today. Lots of cool things to kind of rep Bitwarden and password management. There you go. Thanks, Shelby. So anyway, just submit the contact form, and then you will be notified via email if you won. We don't have repeat winners, so I know we have a lot of repeat Vault Hour attendees, so apologies, you can't win again. But yeah, would love to see some people winning some cool free swag. And I think that's it for all of our kind of scheduled content. If we want to move to the next slide, are there any questions that are kind of burning before we log off for today? I would love to see if there's anything else. Yeah, Shelby, everything that I've gotten from the store is also super comfy. It's very, very soft. I really like it.
Yeah, I want to reiterate, like if there's any questions from the community, they want any improvements, feature requests, anything, right? The community-driven org, like open source, we take feedback very critically, and we have direct interface into engineering and the product team. So this is really critical and important to us. If there's any feedback, anything we can improve, anything you want to hear in the next session, we're open to that as well. So you can share it now. You have a minute. And yeah, we internally cannot get any of that swag, can we? Can we enter that, Casey?
Oh, I wouldn't recommend it.
All right.
I think we can get swag other ways, but appreciate it was a good thought.
All right. Well, with that, we don't have any other questions. We've come to an end. This session will be recorded and will be up on our channel. Oh, this is a question or some feedback from ERDH. Maybe a way to publish known bugs and provide workarounds for them. That's good feedback. let me see here. One second. Ryan, how are we doing this right now, apart from the
Well, mostly
HackerOne bounty?
if you want the biggest in-depth view of bugs and what's happening, you would need to be on our GitHub and kind of active and seeing what's being put there, what the open issues are. That is the best way to really see and get a hold of everything that's happening. Otherwise, updates are just happening too quickly for things to be moved around as stuff gets. Every 2 weeks is our release cycle now. We actually have a blog about our release cycle if you want to go and take a look at it. Otherwise, it's changing too quickly for us to keep up and put onto marketing channels. But yeah, I would highly recommend if you're really keen to get into the Sausage Factory, just go and go to our GitHub repositories and keep track of everything that's happening there.
Yeah, those are that's a massive undertaking. There's so much being posted there, right? So, and it changes so fast as well. But yeah, it has a log of everything that's been done and taken care of. So that's one avenue. Anything else before we close it? I don't see any other questions. All right, everybody. This was Vault 40. We appreciate our community. Thank you to the team, Ryan, Casey, Shelby, and Sai. Feel free to reach out to the team here if you have any other questions. And goodbye for today.
Yeah, we'll stick around. We'll play some music for a little bit, and I'll stick around and answer any questions in the chat.
Yep.
But catch you all next month.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.